Hey, Irvin, what's up, man?
Hey, Paul,
How are
can
you?
you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Um,
upside down. That's awesome.
why is that?
I don't know. Um, we'll see if anybody else rolls in, and then I'll show. I gotta turn that off.
Are you streaming it on YouTube as well?
Yeah, I got no followers. Don't matter. Put it out
Mm.
there. I was gonna put it on Facebook, but more of my people are on everything else. What's up, Giovanni?
Hold on, I'm gonna do it through my phone instead.
Well, you can do whatever you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
We'll get going in a minute or two. See if anybody else rolls in, and then I'll copy it and put it out there for everybody. I'm just gonna show how I automate some deals for some investors, and then we can chat if anybody has any questions on how to talk to a agent. You know, I'm an agent and investor. I talk to myself all day, so you know I got plenty to tell you. And if you're just listening, you don't want to chat, you're welcome to put questions in the chat. I'll do what I can to answer. Okay. Well, we'll get moving. All right, Giovanni, I see you. I think maybe you or someone else said they were gonna just listen in and at work or whatever. So he's back. Irvin's back. All right. Well, I'm gonna record this so I can send it out to some people. It doesn't let you unmute. You want me to unmute you? I can try to do that. You see that? You see that on your screen? It probably asks you to unmute now, if you want, Giovanni. If you're on a computer, it's in the bottom left. If you're on the phone, I think you got to click on the screen and then it gives you the option, or swipe one way or the other. If you want to chat, welcome to, if you like. All right, I'm gonna record so we can post this to these people. And I'm gonna show you guys how I automate offers easily. Let's see.
Oh, there you go. It worked. Hi, Paul. Thank you for
Hey,
having
how are you?
Awesome.
Yeah,
I appreciate
no
it.
problem.
Forward to this.
Welcome. Giovanni, are you an agent?
No.
No? Okay. Some of these agents really wanted me to explain how I automate. Whether you're an agent or trying to do some cash deals, agents could benefit by setting this up. Irvin would know. What I do is, let me look one more. I gotta find one thing real quick. I forgot to open up. So I set up a Google, let's see, I gotta go to my drive. I set up a Google form for a buyer. So all they have to do is go in and find all they need is the address and the offering information. And then they're gonna go in and put it all into the form. And I'll open a form here and show you once it loads. It's being slow. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. One day it'll load for some reason. There we go. Let's see. But just so you know, I'm a broker, real estate broker here in Texas, mostly in Dallas. I'm also a real estate broker in California. So I work in both states. I don't really do much in the creative or anything in California that way. It's mostly just here in Dallas. Oh, there it was. Sorry, it'll take me. I should have had this one up, but offer forms in Google are super simple to create. Let's see. Here we go. Sorry. So you just create a form, and the easy part is here, right? So as an agent, you're going to want to have this up like this. As an investor, if your agent had this, it's super easy. You just fill out this form, and it can auto-populate. You just put your email, your phone number, the property address you're making an offer on. For me, I like to know the buyer name. It could be ABC LLC. It's best to put and/or assigns in Texas, because then you've kind of pre-negotiated the assignment. If you don't, it's still an assignable contract. You just need to get the seller to sign off on that form. You have to send them an amendment for the name change. ABC LLC to XYZ LLC. They have to sign off. If you just do this in the beginning and/or assigns, they're not going to have to sign off on it in the future, and you can just go assign that contract. Either way, it's assignable. But you need a name for this person signing that original LLC if it's an LLC. So if I put my Gray Square LLC in here, I'm going to need to put Paul Blair there, because Paul Blair is the one who can sign for this. You can't sign as an LLC. So that's going to go in there. The purchase price is going to go in here. It's obviously a cash deal in this particular situation, so we're going to do zero. It's all cash. There's no loans, $0 down payment. It's all cash. We're going to do the purchase price. So if it's $100 grand purchase price, it's $100 grand down payment. Title company, if you know it or one you like to use, put it here. If not, I'll put it in later. That's how I do it. Title address, earnest money. You obviously know what to do there. Most people want to see 1%. Option money here in Texas, we need option money. Option money can be anywhere from $100 to $200, $500, whatever, however aggressive you want to be. Most people put 100 to 200. Option period here in Texas, 5 to 9 days. I wouldn't do 10. You probably get away with 8. If you ask for 9 or 10, you might get a pushback. Cash deals, we're going to pay for the buyer, and so on. This is kind of how I set it up. The questions are all in line with what's on our contracts, because we need to know who's paying for the survey. Generally, cash deals don't need one. We're going to hit not required. Survey, amend for the shortages. Generally, no. Agents could probably leave this off. Most buyers and investors don't even know what this is. It's a no. Okay, just click it and fill it out. Close date, pick one, pick a date. 2-3 weeks out, go ahead. And anything else, if someone's like, hey, I need this in the you want to put some verbiage in there that you care about certain things in the supplemental text, I can put that in. Just tell me. And then once they hit submit, a buyer hits submit, for me, it goes immediately into, we have this connected through Zapier. So Zapier is a kind of an online connection between different websites. You can push information from one thing to another and make it do all sorts of things. So I use Zapier to do it. And what it's connecting to is my forms, my offering forms. So as you'll see in here, I've set it up. The trigger is Google Forms. Google Sheets. So I'll go back to this real quick. So in here, once this gets submitted, see, I have 28 responses, right? And it goes into this spreadsheet. All of those responses hit a spreadsheet. So what happens is that spreadsheet's in here. In my, I connect that spreadsheet, that specific spreadsheet, into Zapier. And in Zapier, you got to connect your account, and then you choose which account. What I wanted to do is when there's a new or updated spreadsheet row, is when I want this Zap, as it's called, to perform. And so what happens is this Google Sheets here, it's living on a Google Drive. And once there's a new row that's been created from that offer form, a new row will happen. Here's my account. I set up a trigger. What do I want to happen when that row's done? So this is the last row that was happened on that spreadsheet. It just pulled some of the information, and I want anything in here that's happened to go. You test your trigger, and so it's basically setting up the trigger. When something happens, what is it going to do? It then pulls all that information, and I have it set to immediately go over to Docusign, which Docusign is where we pull all our information from, or we have that's where I have my forms, right? So let's see here. Let me turn on my chat just in case. If anybody has any questions or wants me to kind of back up or say something, you're welcome to ask me. I'm just starting to go over where, as an agent, I'm an agent, I would automate an offer from a buyer. As you guys are buyers looking through, you want to send me 10 offers a day. Simple. Again, we start with this buyer form, easily created on Google Forms, and it will automate into a spreadsheet all the questions that I've asked. And in that spreadsheet, we connect it here in Zapier over to Docusign. So in Docusign, you got to set that up too. It's one of the more intense timeframes you got to deal with is this. So I have a buyer offer template. In Docusign, you can be in templates. It looks like they don't like me. I have to log in again, maybe. And so you create a template. And as an agent, you can put in different, well, and as anybody, you can pre-populate any forms you like in there, and then use those forms in a template. And so in that template, now if you're in Texas or California, other states I think as well, you can find a spot in Docusign to auto-populate all these documents in there for you. All of the documents that you may find in zip forms, as an agent, you would know what that is. Those documents would be in Docusign, so you can just populate them in. If you know how to kind of link the accounts. If you don't, just hit the chat bubble, talk to them. They'll let you know how to do it. Sorry, this is so slow. We're unresponsive. Awesome. Anyway, do we have any agents in here? Any of you guys agents? You can chat or unmute and tell me whatever you want. No agents? All right. Well, if you guys are working offers, you want this done, and you find an agent in your local market, I'll upload this Zoom, or you can have them call me and I can walk them through it. It's not that hard, it just takes a lot of time to set up. I do have good internet. I don't know why it's so slow. It's hardwired into my computer, so it's not a Wi-Fi. Don't know why we're slow on that. Let me try a new page. But in the meantime, so what happens in here is you'll go through Docusign. And what we're gonna do is you're gonna connect your account. This is the things you can have it do. It's gonna take the information from that row in Google Sheets. It's gonna send it to Docusign, right? It's gonna create a signature request. And this is my account. I'm gonna continue. And then these are the actions it's going to take. It's going to populate the email subject because it's going to email you a signature request. There's your, I'm going to put the address in there, and then the email blurb, I'm just going to put the address. Your email is going to populate right here quick. This is obviously one that's already gone through, so there's information pulling off that sheet. But you'll see here the recipient name. I need who's buying, who's the signer. We need that one in here. And then all these lines are going to populate that contract where I've set them to do it. See where it says text and this weird number. If Docusign ever opens up, I'll show you, so back in the Docusign, the templates. So here's your forms. I was telling you about the forms. My form libraries are here. You can connect these to CAR, California Association of Realtors, Metro Tex, which is my local Texas one, and Texas Association of Realtors. These are all the forms that I have available, but you can populate any form you want in there. If you have an addendum that you like to use, just put it in there. And so these are all the forms, and let's see if we can, if I edit it, you can see where all the auto population happens. So we have, we'll just keep going to the next. Let's see. So like this is these are the forms, right? So what you're going to see is that's the signature pages. But here's where the meat is right here. So see these text boxes? These are being populated and auto filled out by that Google form, right? So it's trying to move the tools out of my way so I can show you more. So as you see, like text C59, whatever, it's going to put the property address. So you got to set this up. So this one, let's say, some of these are just for me to fill out after, but I first send them straight to what happens is you guys go in and you put in your, all that information in the Google offer. You put all this in, it goes into it automatically goes into a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet pushes the information through Zapier into Docusign. And as you can see here, the buyer's name is going to be pre-filled out. See if I click on it, you're going to find the data label is here. So the text 979E, whatever that is being auto-populated here by the property address. So you would find it. It's a lot. As you do it, you kind of go through it, but wherever that one is, wherever it says 979E, whatever that one was, it'll say property address. And so what happens is it immediately fills all this out, anything you wanted. So it's not going to have the seller name. So I have to do that later. First thing it's going to do is take all that information that you put in the buyer sheet, which is your name, property address, property purchase price. It's all going to auto populate. Your purchase price is going to be there. Your cash portion, your purchase price. Everything's going to auto populate through that form. The address is going to go here every time on every page. Your title company, if you told me a title company, it's going to populate right there. The title company address is going to populate here. Now, no, if you don't shorten this character to 70 or so numbers and somebody writes forever long, this auto populates 1,000 characters. So it'll write off the page if someone puts in too long of an address. You kind of want to shorten it so that it doesn't text through right here, which is your earnest money. That's going to pre-populate. Your option money is going to pre-populate. Your termination option days is going to populate. And then I'm going to come back in. Anything blue is for me. Once you've populated all this, I'm going to come in. You're the one who told me that the buyer is going to choose this. I'm going to come in and check the box. I'm going to do everything in blue on my end after you've been populated and you've signed it. So what happens is all of these brown boxes get populated from your questionnaire here. So you can pull this up anytime, all day long, pull this up, fill this out, do 100 of these a day, I don't care. That will populate right through Zapier into Docusign. It's going to populate all this stuff, which is everything standardized in our forms. So it's all there. Only thing it needs is the agent to finish out some things. And you can change who, if we received the notice, you may or may not have it yet. So we're going to look at that later. I'm going to check. So all the blue stuff is where I'm going to do after I get it from you. Doesn't take me much time, but I'm going to fill all this out. Your closing dates right here, it's going to be pre-populated. It's going to close on whatever date you chose, 2-3 weeks from now. Whether you're an agent or you're working with me or you got somebody else, you're going to have a pretty standardized things that you're always offering on those cash deals. It's pretty standard. Like you're just going to be a couple weeks out. You're going to not care about the survey. I'm going to come through and depending on in the MLS, it may need a lease back, but the agent's going to come back in. Everything that could be filled out should just have a box. And how you put that box in is you just put a text box. You click here, add a text box. And when you do it, again, you look for that label, text 807EF. What do I want to go in text box 807EF? Well, when I find that, I then put here and I look for what I want it to say from that spreadsheet. And in here, I wanted the option period amount of days. So all options, and then I go look for it. And there it is, option period number of days. I click on that and it's in there. It will auto populate into that form. And then so you're not going to see any of this as the buyer, but it's going to immediately go from that offer sheet to the spreadsheet through Zapier to Docusign and immediately spit out this for signature to this buyer. That buyer is going to sign it. The moment they sign it, I get it back with all these blue boxes. That is my job. And then I come back in as the agent and finish out all this blue box stuff. It's not filled out, but it's easy. The hardest part really is coming back in and I got to put all this crap in for I got to go to the MLS and I got to go, find all the listing agent information and their supervisor information and all that. While I'm in here, I got to find the seller's name, put all that in. And then I just hit submit and I'm done signing and then I submit the offer. So on my end, it takes a couple more steps than the buyer. The buyer's pretty much done in 2 minutes. Like they just fill out this form. Any questions? And then on your contracts, it might be a little different, or it's the same and you care about different things. But again, I have buyers fill out email, phone number, property address, buyer name, which if it's an LLC, I need a regular name for the signer, purchase price, loan amount, down payment. Obviously, cash offers are pretty standard. Purchase price and down payment are the same, no loan. If they know the title company address, earnest money, option period number of days, who's paying for the title. Do you need a survey? Cash deals don't care usually. So we hit no. Are we doing anything with the amendment for the shortages on the survey? Generally no on a cash deal. When do you want to close? What else do you want to share? Hit submit. You immediately get a signature page with an offer pretty much written. All I got to do is finish it out. And I can finish it out with the answers that you've put on this offer page, or obviously know who you are. I got your info. And so that's basically what I do to automate these. And I can, we can pump out as many as you want a day. It's, especially cash deals, you've done your research. I'm just here to submit it for you if that other agent doesn't want to deal with you. So that's kind of the quick version. There's a little more nitty gritty stuff you can go to in the Zapier and the details between these two, but that's the automation of the offers that you can do as an agent for cash buyers, wholesalers, investors. So you guys got any questions on that? Let me see this chat. I'm in Dallas. That's my market. Houston, DFW, Yolanda, cool. Pam is in Dallas. Yeah, I mean, we can, if you guys are calling and make deals or put in stuff, I do it all day for people. I mean, you call that agent and offer them to keep their money and they don't want to put in their offer on their own deal. just send it to this link. I'll send you guys the link. You guys can put in deals all day long if you want. I'll send you this link either way. So that
Hey, Michael.
put it in,
So are you located in Houston?
Cyprus. Mhm.
Cyprus? Because and I'm located in Houston as well.
Oh, nice. What part?
In Pasadena by Pearland.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're on the other side of town of me.
Yeah. So maybe we can like and squad
Connect.
up and yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul, by the way, that I know the kind of work that goes into putting something like this together. I spent 14 years doing digital marketing and SEO and landing pages and creating forms and trying to put stuff to connect. And that's a great job. That's amazing.
I've been trying to figure out how to make this work for a better part of a year. And I just don't, Zapier is a really cool tool and I've been trying to figure it out. You can do so many things with it. And I finally figured out how to get it to work. I wish I could figure out how to populate the rest of it, my part of the job. You know, that the seller's name and the seller and the listing agent stuff. I can't figure that out yet. Hopefully someone can show me, or I'm just gonna have to find a way. But yeah, it's great tool for, you know, wholesalers that want to go put in 10 offers a week. Agents are too busy or too lazy to do that part, which is kind of, you know, time consuming. But if you could just put in these 10 questions, it's super quick.
I got on here a little late because I'm dealing with a wrecked vehicle and was talking to insurance. And so
that's not great.
No, it was a hit and run too. Someone kind of took out my side of my truck, but it's still drivable. So I would like, if you recorded this, but also I can see it from the beginning, that would be awesome. For the fact that starting next week, I just kind of launched my company and getting into this in July. And I shut down my digital marketing company of 14 years at the beginning of the year. I'm just burnt out on it. But if anybody wants to talk marketing or talk about website design, I love it. I'm passionate about it. So now I won't talk to anybody outside the real estate world, you know, so keeping my bucket small.
So are you an agent or investor or what?
I'm an investor. Yeah. I'm starting off on the wholesale side.
Got it. Yeah. So that's great. It's a great move. I mean, I've been an agent for 20 years. To me, wholesaling and agent work is similar, as in it's paycheck work. You're looking for paychecks, right? On that.
Yeah,
wholesale.
especially now, right now, starting out.
Yeah, and then, you know, investing and adding assets is a different part of real estate investing, right? So, but for me, agent work and wholesalers kind of do similar things. I butted heads with them for a while, and I realized that I could do it too, and then I could just help them, and we could be buddies. So some of them I just give advice, some we do deals together. I don't really care, but I'm my own broker, so I have a lot more flexibility on how I can work with people.
Mhm.
And so through the PACE community, I realized there's a lot more people that I could be friendly with and not be such a prick when they call on my listings.
Right. And you know what's interesting, you being a broker, you'll understand this. And I would love to share, I kind of created a landing page for realtors to like connect with me.
Okay.
So I have two friends that they're brokers out here. One has about 100 agents under him. The other one has 700 agents under him. And both of them don't know the investor side. So since I've gotten into this, and they know my background, that I don't do anything without having a team behind me to help me build something. So I'm setting up appointments with each one of them so I can talk to them about working from top down, you know, being a connection from the owners through the agents that aren't working with investors. And two, they kind of want to learn the investing side of the business so they can be more beneficial on another revenue for their agents. So, and seeing this right now is really great. And you putting this together, and definitely talking to you as an agent and a broker. I think this is a good piece of my puzzle when I go and sit down with these owners, these brokers.
Look, it's I've been, like I said, I've been an agent for a long time. I'd say 65% or more of my sales have been cash and investor-based deals. And a lot of my business was in high-end luxury in Los Angeles for a little over a decade. And
Yeah.
even there, $2 million cash purchase, $3.5 million sale after an $800,000 rehab. Like the numbers are similar. It's just the percentages are similar. The numbers are crazy there. But
Yeah.
here, in Texas, you have a lot more people that can invest because anybody with 20 grand can really do an investment. You can kind of get away with it. You should have
Right.
more, but you could do it, right?
Right.
So, but like, the amount of agents that say they do know and work well with investors is pretty high. The amount that actually know how is low. There's not as many that know exactly what they're talking about, but most of them will say they work with investors.
Yeah.
And the investor tag is very, very high. If you say it to an agent, they're thinking builders and flippers. That's pretty much the end of their thought process and investors. If you're
Absolutely.
not building or flipping, they don't even really think about people who buy to own and rent as investors. They're kind of short-minded. So
Mhm.
not all agents have the open, brain to the rest of the people. And even before I moved to Dallas, I didn't even know wholesaling was a thing. And that was 5 years ago.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's just not rampant where I came from. So
Yeah.
I had to learn it myself and realize that it is a thing and it is direct competition to me, just like another agent is, which is fine. It's just normal competition in my book. But you have to learn to work with each other. And so if you can go in there and teach, like you get a group of 700 agents and you can show them a little more openness to investors like these types, the cash buyers who are wholesalers, it may help everybody to work together. But that'd be cool.
It's an idea, and and I had because there's so much, the cold calling, driving $4, the whole list. And one thing Pace did was kind of looking for your avatar. And I have such a huge network, and my network is with a lot of real estate agents. I've been going through just my personal list, and I'm like around 200 on agents that I know personally so far. So my two pillars right now I'm focused on is SEO, because that's my background and that's what I've been doing. And that takes time to build up, especially as competitive as it is. But I have a unique way of how I'm going to go about what I'm doing that I've done with other clients. So, but it still takes time. And so I'm going to keep building that. On the other side is I do like talking with people in real estate, and I know so many agents I can talk to, and I've had some, since I put myself out there, talk to me. It's like, oh, that's what you're doing now. Interesting, with some good feedback that they haven't worked with investors. So
if you can, you kind of have to lead the agent into the conversation slowly. Like if you're just like, hey, but I'm looking to wholesale, they're just going to write you off because they don't think that it's a viable option. Or anything they can do with you. But, because most wholesalers, I get calls all day long. Hey, I'm a cash buyer. Just send me your off-market deals. I'm like, okay, I'll put you on the list, but you're probably not the guy I'm going to call. I got other people that I will actually call on that list that are cash buyers and or are wholesalers I trust to dispo that deal. But the agents, if you just called them and told them that, they're never really going to call you ever, because agents think one thing first: put it on the market.
Right.
They don't even think there's another option. And a lot of us in our licensing, they've actually made it difficult for us to have off-market listings. We're not really allowed to have a listing off-market, and if we have a listing, it has to go on the market. That's part of our license requirement now. It used to not be, changed about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Because they considered it unfair if I had a listing, but I kept it to myself and called you and sold it to you. It was unfair to that agent over there because they didn't know about it.
Oh no.
And I was like, well, that's the whole point. Like they didn't know, and we got more money because we didn't put it on the market, and it didn't sell, and now we're looking bad because we got 80 days on the market. But if we could just pitch this as a new listing that no one's ever heard of, pretty much always off market, there was a benefit to it that the realtor community took away for fairness, which wholesalers don't have to care about.
No.
They don't have a license. They're not listing the property.
Mm-mm.
You know, they could. I talked to an agent the other day who actually did list a property, and it was a wholesale that he put under contract, and then he listed it, and it turns out that's a bad idea. It's, you know, it's not going to go well for him. He's going to end up with less money than if he just wholesaled it or just listed it.
Yeah.
But he's probably going to get out of there without losing his license. So, you know, for us, we're licensed, and it matters to not lose the license, right? So there's things I have to do. Like if you call me, if you write one of these offers and we get it accepted, great. You know, it's pretty much on you to dispo it. I really can't be involved. You know, I don't want to be involved in the JV on something I'm the agent on. Now, if you call me on an off-market deal, you put under contract down the street from my house or something or whatever. I'm like, hey, I got the buyer. I can JV with you. We can do that because it's outside my license. We can put it. I got another LLC for that. You know, we can do that stuff. But my company, my brokerage can't really be involved in the JV assignment part. I learned that pretty quick.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really know that at first. I'm learning wholesale in this things that I have JV'd since this group turned my mind to it. But you know, quickly I realized that the difference in on market for an agent, even if they are a wholesaler, is the other agent is the factor that is unknown. So that agent's a prick generally. They don't know what's going on. And so the agent you choose to work with in a wholesale deal, if you're going on market, you know, you kind of have to be upfront with them. You got to know that they're going to got your back and help you along this process, because there might be some documents you need them to get over and sign. You got to have access to that property. And what sucks is you're not calling the seller. Hey, Mr. Seller, I need you to sign this amendment. Hey, Mr. Seller, I need access tomorrow to show my investors. Now I have to call an agent who doesn't like my process to then clear it with the seller who probably doesn't care. The agent is the problem on the other side, almost always. Dealt with enough agents just without wholesale that the other agent is my problem. I'm half the time I'm like, guys, their license says sales associate, and they're like getting in the way. I'm like, the goal is sale. Like
assist your client.
Like assist this sale. Like half of it is them trying to, you know, puff their chest and be smarter than somebody when it didn't matter. The seller was totally okay with the request, and that seller agent got in the way. It's happened more times than I can count. And same with the buyer. They get all mad about something that the buyer never cared about. Like they're like, we don't care that the HVAC needs maintenance. It's $100. Like, why you complain? You're gonna make us not buy this house over this. So agent relationships matter. Working with them, knowing how to talk to them and kind of get them on their side. The biggest problem that I see with what Pace has told a lot of people to do, and Jamil, and is going on market is just you're trying to push a process through people who don't like or appreciate or want that process, the assignment. They just don't. You know, I get properties on the market and I'll get 20 offers and 18 of them are wholesale deals, and my seller ends up taking one and then they fall apart and they're like, what happened? And I try to explain wholesale and why he chose the wrong offer, because this guy didn't have a buyer. He's not the buyer. And then they blame me as the agent. There's the rest of the friction as I get blamed. And that wholesaler just walked away, you know, half the time didn't even put up the option money. Like it's not as great. Like, so I'm trying to be someone who's between the parties, trying to help everybody, you know, hey, you can do it. Just do it the way the contract says. Like our contracts are pretty straightforward. You owe that money, option and earnest money, within 3 days. 3 days. These aren't business days, these are calendar days. Like you sign it Friday, it's due Monday. It's not going to end on a Sunday. That's the only difference. It's pretty simple. But yeah, so, you know.
Well, I appreciate that insight, and that makes a lot of sense.
But you were saying you weren't here for the real, I could show you real quick the beginning of just a detail, but it is this, like, this is everything. This Google,
That form.
you can create any form you want and have it do whatever you want, right? And
Yeah.
all it does is drop it into a spreadsheet, right?
Mhm.
Like if I go to respond, it goes into that spreadsheet right there, right? And so that spreadsheet, and since you're in tech, maybe you've used Zapier before, but you can do a lot of things with Zapier. This is Zapier. It's a
Yeah, I haven't
Zapier.com.
used Zapier in years, so but you can.
It does so much.
I use Podio. I mean, I'm a Google geek. I use everything Google Drive. I use everything in there, and I've created so many forms. But like on my website, contacts go into my Podio, and
Yeah, well, that's you can
do the
Podio
same
is
thing.
a CRM, right? It's a
Yep.
CRM. It does lots
Well,
of
it's a
things.
project management tool.
It has other things in there, right? It's got all those.
It does
right?
it all. Yeah, yeah.
So I use Follow Up Boss. It's a little more agent oriented. There's things in there. It integrates with probably way more things.
Right.
And so I have like my website and my ad world and all that is integrated directly into my Follow Up Boss, which is my CRM, and
Right.
other things. But this certain Google and other things don't connect completely, and Zapier is kind of that missing link. And so
It
you can
is.
go in there and just so like here, my trigger is Google Sheets, and I just go to Google Sheets and I find the one that I'm using or what I wanted to do. And when there's
Yeah.
a new row in that sheet,
Well,
there's a
I'm
trigger.
definitely going to follow what you did. That's what's so great. I mean, heck yeah,
And
when
that-
you can.
Yeah, that trigger then sends all that information wherever I want it to go. In this case, I want it sent to Docusign to this specific template that's filled out this way, so that those details get put on the contract right where I want them. And it, within a minute, they've hit submit. They check their email and they have an offer to sign, contract to sign. And
Right.
then once they sign, within a minute, I get the contract to sign, which I could just sign, but that doesn't make sense. I have to finish filling out the details. So if you were to send me 10, it may take me some time because I got to go copy paste all this information. But generally, I have time to get it done. Like if you sent me 10, it'd probably take me 20 minutes to finish them out.
Right.
Because I'm pretty efficient now that the system's up and running. So that's that. But let's see. That's basically it. It's pretty simple. Like here's a bunch of the deals that have come through since I did it. And it just takes those line items, and every time there's a new
puts it all
row,
together.
shoots out a new contract. And once it's signed, I get it. I know what address. I know who did it. Generally, I do know who's filled it out. We've talked. Most of these people, everyone has the link. I do know. And we go to town. We just send it out, and I go to my MLS and I pull out the property. I look for the who owns it, put them on the seller. I got to find the legal description and the lot and block information. I mean, as an agent, these are the things I got to pull up. I'm probably going to go look at I'm going to pull up to see if they have here it shows me if I have seller disclosures. And if there's anything here that really is annoying, they may not have seen in the remarks, I might call that guy. Like, by the way, half the house broke off foundation shot. Did you know that? Right.
Right.
Do you need to change that offer price? Right. But generally it's pretty much, if it's something that bad, it's in the pictures or in the description. Here, this guy, this is my listing, does not have the disclosures out. Because the seller hasn't signed them. But this is a flip. This guy's selling a flip. I don't even know what he paid for it. He called me to list it, but we're at 259. It's a pretty good deal. We'll see if it sells. But that's the process. The buyer finds the buyer. Most of these buyers are on Privy, and they're like, "This is a good deal. This is what I think." They don't even call me on the ARV. We probably talked enough on how to do that, and or they're good with comps.
Mhm.
but it's their offer. So it doesn't really matter to me. You know, they should be able to pitch that ARV once, if this gets accepted, they need to sell that ARV to whatever buyers they have in mind or the ones they're going to go look at. So they offered 110, but for some reason they thought it was worth 275 after a 70K rehab. Cool, whatever. As long as they can pitch it, you know, as me as the agent part of this, I can submit it all day. It's irrelevant what I think about it. They're going to need to pitch it. Now, if they call me and say, "Hey, man, can you help me with the ARV?" I do that all day long for them too. We'll look at the comps and then go through it. But some of them don't even need to. They've been just going through so many that they're pretty good. So, you know, the worst can happen is what they're going to lose $100 on an option if they're really wrong. That's about it.
Right.
So
That's a lot of great information. I mean, I'm in that learning process to pull all this together and know it. So, but
yeah, I
I
mean, the main
appreciate
thing
this.
as a cash buyer that they need to pay attention to is really the option period. Your earnest money and your option money is at risk after the option period, and you have to actually send in a termination to terminate prior to that if you're not moving forward. So if it's 5 days, send it on the 5th day. If you don't have that buyer, just let it go, terminate. Because if you go to the 6th day or 7th day, your option period's already gone, but your earnest money's it's potentially gone at that point, and you don't want that. And so just know that that's the biggest thing, is that option period. Those days are the most important because that protects your earnest money. And if you're using a gator, it protects their money. And a lot of these gators don't know, because Texas is not the same as other states. Other states don't have option periods. They have inspection periods that don't just go away. You actually have to, it's a different process. So in Texas, you need to use that. You need to be all over that option timeline to protect yourself. So I've noticed a lot of people don't understand it that well. There's a lot of agents that don't understand it as well too, but it doesn't, it immediately, it just goes away after 5 days or whatever, that 10 days, whatever you put in there, it's gone. So if you didn't perform with a new buyer, terminate and lose your option money, but keep your earnest.
How much is usually option money?
It's debatable. If you were to, 100 to 250 bucks is pretty standard in the price points that you're probably going to find in the cash money, the cash buyer world. It doesn't really go much above that unless there's a super great deal and you're being very competitive, and you know you're the buyer that actually wants it and you don't care because you'll gladly spend 500 bucks, 1,000 bucks because you're buying it, right? 100 bucks is probably the minimum that anybody's going to respectfully give you any idea on, but 100 to 200 bucks is average. Earnest money average is 1%. So $200,000 deal, two grand. That's what they're going to expect. You could say anything you want and get away with. It's all negotiable, but that's what agents are going to expect. And when you're going on market, you want to work with the agents. You need to make them happy. You go with what numbers make work in their mind, and what work in their mind is 100, 200 bucks, 1% earnest. You know, in this market, you might get away with 7 to 9 days in an option period. 3-4 months ago, no chance more than 5 days.
No, not at all.
Probably 3 days, you know. So right now, if you said 5 days, it would entice them, but you could get 7 all day, 8 or 9 maybe. You know, you're not going to get 10. Don't even put 10. Just 7 to 9 days. I'm
going to shoot for 8. That's
that's what I've told people. You know, go with 8. I think you'll get it. It's enough time. All we need to do is call a bunch of buyers and get somebody in there, and you know, if it's a good enough deal, you will find a buyer. I've
been building that buyers list. That's been my big game plan right now, is making sure I have that.
It's all about your ARV. If you found the right deal and it makes sense and you have the right pitch. Now remember, on market, the first thing that a buyer is going to do is Google that address. And they're
Yep.
gonna be like, oh, you just told me I could buy it for 200. It's on the market for 205. Why would I? This isn't a good deal. So you
Right.
gotta remember, what's your pitch? You can be like, oh, well, I got it on, I locked it up day one. It's actually worth 500K ARV. Like, it's a crazy window. Now that could make sense, but you got to have a pitch. Like, you got to have a reason that
Right.
when they Google that on market listing and see that they're paying retail value, what's the point, right? Why do they have to close tomorrow on something they could have just got on market? Could they have got a better deal, right? So listed at 200, been on the market for, 30 days, and then you got it at 125. They're going to go on market and be like, oh, cool. Yeah, they negotiated. This is a great deal.
Yep.
That's the difference you need to pay attention to when going on market, is that they can see what you saw. And are they going to, balk at that? If it's not a good enough deal.
Right.
So
That's really good insight. Thank you.
it's just cash deal stuff, on market stuff. This is all on market stuff because you're dealing with agents. And, just because you think it's a good deal doesn't mean you're dealing with an agent that gives a shit what you think. And then they have to give a shit to pitch it to that seller. Like, you're like, oh man, this makes perfect sense at 100K. And the agent's like, yeah, but we're listed at 185. And you're like, well, that doesn't make any sense to me as the investor, but that agent doesn't care. They were told to list it and sell it at 185. Now it's going to help that agent when you make offers lower, because that agent's now going to be able to get a price reduction. You probably won't get the deal, but that agent's then going to get it down to 165. And then someday it's probably going to sell to someone at a higher level at 155. So it's going to help get that listing pushed down, because an investor is going to come in with those low offers. So it will help the agent. You can explain that, maybe help get your offer submitted, and then create that relationship going forward and show that you are actually helping them. Because it does, when I have an overpriced listing, it helps me to get offers. It doesn't matter the price, because then I can be like, Mr. Seller, everybody's offered 15% lower. There's a reason for that. That's what it's worth. And then it helps. It takes a minute for them to kind of get around that. And either they don't sell it or we move that price. So,
Paul, I might have to come to Dallas and buy you lunch if you could ever jump on a Zoom when I talk to one of my broker friends and they kind of try to wrap their head around this, So.
It's I'm telling you, I was here for 2 years and someone had told me about this and I was like, I don't even know what you guys are talking about. There's people out there that just have deals and they make sense and you people are buying them. That's crazy talk. And they're off market. This is crazy talk. And then I started seeing what it was and I was like, but then I realized a lot of the wholesale deals that are coming through, and I get a lot of them. Not all of them were done right. They're not the right ARV. They don't have a good enough spread to make any sense. Like, they're just retail. Like, somebody locked it up at the wrong number. It's not a good enough deal. So that happens a lot. And then just in the last, I don't even know, like 5 months, I've been kind of listening to the PACE stuff, mostly for my own needs. I need to acquire more assets, and I'm tired of waiting 12, 16, 18 months till I have enough for another 20% down payment. And I'd like to figure a way to add to my asset column without 20%, right? So there's the creative part. And so that's what I've been really got into talking to him or listening to PACE. And then found myself in this elephant challenge. And then I was like, well, I could do this. And or I could work with these guys, or we can be buddies or whatever. There's cool people all in the group. So I've met and talked to a lot of people, and I've done a few deals with some people, and it's worked out. And or just given and taken a lot of advice from people. So I'm happy to share for that reason, because it seems like people are sharing, and I think that's great. So like, your market and mine are not the same, but if this can help you do more business, that's great.
No, absolutely. And that's, once again, I appreciate it, because this is just more extra insight. And the contract side and what you're doing is really helpful, because I'm reading through these contracts to understand it, and taking all those next steps, because more knowledge, the better I can help realtors with what they're wanting to do and understand what I'm trying to do.
Yeah,
So,
that's one thing that's what I'm saying is with the option period matters. Why it matters is because it's on that contract you sign. It's
Yeah.
the contract rules everything once it's signed. And then, it's not that hard a document to follow. You just read through it and, pay attention. There's different items on it and, reach out to me if you're like, hey, what's section C talking about? Right. Okay,
Right.
I'll tell you. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like I said, I'm a broker here in California. Contracts here are so much easier to read, to negotiate. California has about an extra 18 pages to their contract. It's all disclosure crap and who's suing who and who pays for what when you get sued. It's so bad.
You're in California now?
I'm in Dallas. I live in Dallas. We moved here 4 years ago.
Yeah,
but I
you
am a
said that earlier.
broker. But I'm a broker in both states. I do operate my company there as well.
Okay.
It's all referral business mostly there. I don't go after much. But as I learn more of this in creative finance, I know Pace says don't go to the blue states, but there is reasons that owning real estate in California makes sense. Why? It's worth a shit ton more. And when you gain 3% on a $2 million property or 3% on a 200 grand property, which one do you make more money on?
That 2 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that there's and how much we paid in taxes here? They pay less than half in property taxes there.
Yeah.
It's the income tax there that's disastrous.
Yeah, I lived in LA for 5 years.
So you get, it's 1.25% property tax there.
Yeah.
Here, 2.25. It's massively different, right? So that's also why their prices have inflated and ours don't as much.
Mm-hmm.
People think that they have, but not like there. But just go through these contracts. It's not that hard. They're pretty standard. You can get this anywhere. You just Google it. The 1 to 4 is the one you guys are gonna live on. 1 to 4 resale, Texas real estate commission contract. And anything in here, these are mostly just boilerplate stuff, but this sales price, this is, what's the price?
Yeah, I'm gonna print
no
it
one
out
really
today.
has any of this, it's all pretty standard. Here's the, option money, who pays it, who's the title, the escrow agent, here's your termination. Know this termination option. It starts on the effective date of this contract, and on the it's by the 5 p.m. on this day. How many days?
On this day. Okay.
Right. What
It's
do you put in
8
here?
days.
That's what you tell me. You can ask for 25. They may give it to you, but I'm just
Right.
the general numbers that work out in this world are 5 to 8, 9
Days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 will always get accepted. 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe.
Yeah.
But
my company's called 808 RE, so 8's like my number, so I'm gonna stick
do
with
it.
it.
No, I think 8's a perfect amount of option period days because it
Yeah.
gives you got to remember a lot of these get signed on Fridays. It's weird, but you get signed on Friday, you lose that weekend. Like nobody's gonna answer your call on a good deal on Saturday morning. They say they will, they won't. You really want to hustle on those weekdays because you're gonna lose windows on the weekend. So you want enough days to get through a weekend if you have to.
Right.
So
that makes sense. A signed contract on Monday is a good day to start.
That'd be great. Or Sunday, so you can get rolling the next day. Great.
Yeah.
But calling all these cash buyers on Saturday or Sunday sounds like a great idea, but most of them are my age. I'm 43. Most of them are within 5 years of me or older, which means they have families. And on the weekends, a lot of us like to, as best we can, see those kids.
I'm 10 years older than you, so yeah, I get it.
You get it. Like a lot of these guys do these Zooms all night long. And I'm like, guys, I'm with the kids, man. I got a 4 and 5 year old. That's my time to play. I don't.
Right.
I work all day. I know a lot of these guys don't do this all day, so they like to go to those Zooms at night. But I try. I can't listen. I can't be on Pace's. I don't know how he does it with the kids. He's always at these 7 o'clock Zooms. I don't know. I can't.
He has a team company.
He does
with
have
the
help.
kids.
I will give him that. He probably has a lot of help.
He definitely does. So.
But a lot of these other guys do private Zooms, and most of these do seem to fall in the evening hours. A lot of them.
Right.
And I take calls then, I don't make them.
Yeah.
So
I got a 14-year-old, so he's self-sufficient. And then the wife is in commercial real estate, and
that's cool.
she's on the medical side. So she works for a CBRE, and they're so busy. She's working right now because they're bringing on so many properties. She's working like 12-hour days. So I don't see her in the evening. So I'm able to take advantage of
Yeah, I
Zoom
mean, if my
calls.
kids were not needing me, or I didn't, there's so little, like I can't miss this part
No,
of
you
their
got to be
lives.
dad. That's important time. So
But when they get older, they won't care, and I'll go back to work in the afternoons, in the evenings, weekends. But I get it. People have different schedules, and that's cool. I've always stayed separate, residential and commercial.
Mhm.
I don't do. I've done so little commercial. I'm easier just staying in my lane.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought with wholesalers for a long time. But then I realized we're kind of doing the same thing. You guys are selling a contract. I'm getting a listing to sell the house. It's basically the same thing. You're looking for a buyer. I'm looking for a buyer. The difference is you're locking it up at a certain price, hoping you got a good enough deal that it'd be easy. Realtors
Yeah.
don't think that way. They're going to a listing, and I'm like, oh, Mr. Seller, you think the house is worth 585? And I look it up, and I'm like, did they add 100 grand somewhere? Like, they're stupid. But
Yeah.
guess what? We still take that listing, throw it on the market. Wholesalers wouldn't do that. They're like,
No.
this is a waste of my time. So there's a difference there. Like, I'll still take the listing, put it on the market. Who knows? I'll get a buyer out of it somewhere.
Because there's a profit margin to be made for that buyer, and that's what we're looking for. So know
Yeah.
your
So the
buyer.
wholesalers would just be like, okay, never mind. But see, if I go in with two different mindsets. I'm like, cool. As an agent, I'll list your property. In my initial call, I then decide whether it's a wholesale property, maybe
Yeah.
an asset purchase for me, or a listing. So when I go, so I'm direct to seller, and when I have that call, those are the kind of options I'm going over in my mind as I'm having a conversation of what they want for the property, what they need, when they need to sell it. If it's a retail property, I list the property. If it's the
Mhm.
wholesale, we'll call this group here and see who wants it, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's opened up some opportunities for me for sure. But on market, I can use this off market. Pace has his own contracts, but because I know this one good enough, I would use this off market as well. But
Okay.
these, just know these contracts, read them. They're not that hard.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I'm going to print it out and read. I mean, what's great is the wife is the contract person in the family, so
She can
the
help
goal-
you for sure.
Yeah. Well, and she's going to review everything because that's she never wanted to be a broker, and she's the transaction coordinator and the marketing person. She does it all. She actually does sales. But the goal is by the end of the year, next year, we're doing this full time, and let me do what I do and she does what she does.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. I never wanted to be the broker either until I came here, and then I realized in markets like this, it's not as important to be with a certain company. Whereas in
Mhm.
luxury markets, it matters a little more that you have some name that they've heard of.
Yeah.
Here, they don't care. It's just like a wholesaler company. They don't care who you are. They just want their money, right? They just, I'll take that deal. It's good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, one thing to know on these contracts is that days mean days. Like there's no business days.
Right. Days is days. So,
I don't care that it's Columbus Day Monday. That's day number 3 on the contract. Okay.
Holiday days count too. Yeah. Days.
If it says day in the word, it is a day in the contract. Okay.
Got it.
7 days a week. People are like, well, I don't want to start my option period until after the weekend because that's not a business day. Well, the contract don't say you want to do that, then add to the option period 2 more days. Like that's how it works. Like it's calendar days.
It's all negotiable. So
negotiable. Like you can explain it. Be like, I need those 2 extra days because we just hit Thanksgiving and nobody's working Thursday and Friday. So, and technically Saturday or Sunday or Monday either. So I'm kind of screwed. We got to add 5 days on that week.
Yep.
You got to pay attention to that when you're writing offers on that close date, that you're not closing on a holiday, because that's not great. And or the day before or after, people aren't working. Pay attention to those things, because you get to that closing table and the seller's pissed off because you told them you'd close on that day and you found that buyer, but their hard money is like Yeah, but it's a holiday. I'll be back next week. We'll get you that money, but just move the contract to next Tuesday. These things
Yeah.
happen on holidays. Pay
Yep.
attention to it. Because your agent may or may not care, and then they may or not be able to help.
Yeah, more good
Um,
advice. I haven't even heard that yet in all the videos I've listened to. So
And everything, little things matter that you pay attention to in the days and the dates. They make sense. You can't close on weekends. Holidays will fuck you up.
yeah,
And if you have to add time because of it, just put it in the explanation when you make that offer. Like, hey, I know I asked for 9 days option period, but that's because Columbus Day's Monday and kids don't go to school Monday or Tuesday here in Plano, Texas. So
yeah,
a lot of people ain't working. We'll all be at the
Right.
state fair. You guys should all go to the state fair. It's a lot of fun.
pay attention to your calendar.
Yeah.
And I've never been to the state fair. That's something I need to do one time. That's on my bucket
You should.
list.
I mean, it's cool. We're going Tuesday. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. So I'm actually 7th generation Texan, and I had a cousin that fought at the Alamo. So,
Oh wow,
yeah.
that's back there.
Yeah.
Okay,
So my area is San Marcos. That's where my family grew up.
that's a cool area. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like it down there better. It actually has some geography to look at as opposed
Absolutely.
to Dallas, which has nothing. We have nothing up here.
Y'all have more than Houston, trust me.
We don't have nothing. It is
So-
quite boring. It's a cool place for real estate and family, but it is not cool for anything outside.
Oh,
Really.
especially coming from California. I mean, it's
Oh,
LA was one of my favorite places. I mean, I lived in Boston for a little bit, but Los Angeles, I had so much fun
Yeah.
in. So
It was cool for a while until we started having kids. Then we realized it was pretty gross, and we wanted to have kids around kind of a nice neighborhood. So
yeah,
good schools, good people, generally better people, kind of across the board here. So we like that.
that's great to hear. So
Yeah,
being a Texan,
people are
you
good.
always like hearing that.
It's true. It is true. So
Well, I
Well,
appreciate
look-
this, Paul, and I'll connect with you on Discord and
yeah,
get your
hit me up,
information.
connect. Let me I'll drop this here. You guys can call, email me anytime. And if you have questions or, if you have an agent that you want that's interested in this, I could show them.
Yeah.
Let's see. You guys can text or email me anytime.
Perfect.
If you email me your info or text it, I'll put you in my buyer list so that you'll get anything I get. I get a few things a month that I'll send out to them.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm direct to seller, so I call a lot of sellers, but most of my stuff will end up on the market because when I tell them the retail offering, they're like, well, I want that money. I'm like, well, it might take longer, right?
Mhm.
But a lot of people are willing to wait an extra month or two to make 50 grand or 20 extra grand, sometimes even 10 grand. So
Right.
with me, they end up on the market most of the time.
Yeah.
So
If you had the patience to do it.
it depends on what they're up to. If you're a seller right now, I actually tell them let's put it on the market in January or February. If you can wait, do it. This market is shit. Do not list your property. You should wait. Talked myself out of 2 listings this week on that one, but I didn't. You know what I did? I talked myself into 2 sales in February. Good to go. Now I
Absolutely.
got income in February. So
Yep.
Wholesale is different. Sell now. Sell now.
Well, now,
Always.
yep.
Right.
Well,
So
we appreciate it.
yeah. So guys, anybody have questions, hit me back anytime. Phone number, email. I'm gonna post this at some point the next day or two so people can learn more about this because some of the agents had questions. But they're probably working, right?
Yeah.
And so as Pace says, they don't answer any phone calls. I'll tell you what, wholesalers don't either. They only text and they never want to reach out by phone. The ones that make offers on my listings. It's like, come on, man.
Really?
I think wholesalers and agents are very similar. But Pace puts down the agents pretty hard. It's kind of funny.
It is funny. I've noticed that.
But All right. Well, all right, guys. Well, I just wanted to share this and be available for anybody, and maybe I'll do it again in the future. And maybe we'll do some deals together.
Yeah, please do. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, no worries, guys. Have a
And
great
Irvin,
weekend.
get in contact with me.
Awesome.
Yeah, hook up with Irvin. He's the best. That guy can comp like a king.
Nice.
Oh, absolutely. Make sure you text me, Irvin. So. Okay. Bye,
All right,
guys.
guys.